Hello everyone, today I'm going to explain simple and easy chess to understand. First, we know how to play chess. We need to understand how to set up the chessboard. The chessboard is 8 by 8 square, a total of 64 square. There are 8 rows, and 8 columns. 6, 7, 8. And there are 8 columns. If a column is called A5, A5, B5, C5, D5, E5, F5, G5, H5. A row is called a rank, first rank, second rank, third rank, fourth rank, fifth rank, sixth rank, seventh rank, and eighth rank. So first we need to understand how to set up a chessboard. The white square in the corner is a black square. So always look for the square to see if the square is white square. To see if you set up the chessboard right. Then there are 8 pawns in the second rank. 1 pawn, 2 pawn, 3 pawn, 4 pawn, 5 pawn, 6, 7, 8 pawn. Black also has 8 pawn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we put the rook in the corner. Rook in the corner for black also. Then there is the knight, the white knight next to the rook, the black knight next to the rook. Then we have the bishop next to the knight. Black bishop, C square, F square. Then for the queen, the white queen is on the white square. The black queen is on the black square. Then the king is next to the queen. The black king next to the black queen. The white king next to the white queen. So we have set the chessboard. So now I'm going to explain the mobility and value of the chess piece. First, we need to understand that chess is a simulation of war. I have a territory and my opponent has his territory. This is my territory, the highlighted square. Or this is my territory. Half the board is my territory. Half view of the board is my opponent's territory. This is my opponent's territory. For example, if I'm white always starts the chess game first. As I occupy more space, I attack more space in my opponent's territory. My piece has more value. For example, a pawn can attack on the diagonal square. Now my pawn is attacking 2 squares. It has more value than the other pawn. Here. This pawn is a centralized pawn, so it has more value. In chess we want to control the center, because the center is where our piece has more mobility. For example, a knight on h1 compared to a knight on e4, this knight is more mobile than this knight, despite the fact that they are both white knights. This knight can attack 1, 2 squares. This knight can attack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares. Now I'm going to explain each piece, how they move, and what is their value. For example, a pawn, it can move 1 square, usually move 1 square, but at the start of a chess game it can move 2 squares. When a pawn has not moved and it moves for the first time, it can move 2 squares. It can also move 1 square. A pawn is the only piece that can attack differently than when it moves. A pawn can attack on the diagonal squares next to him. White pawn is attacking two squares, the f5 square and the d5 square. These are coordinates. A pawn has a value of 1 point. People will stop here. We will tell you a pawn is worth 1 point, a knight is worth 3 points, a rook is worth 5 points, etc. etc. But now, why is a pawn value 1 point? There's actually a method to determine the value of a piece. Simplicity's sake, we're going to say the pawn is a piece as the other piece. Usually people don't call the pawn a piece, they call just pawn. As I explained before, if I'm white, this is my territory, and on the other side of the chessboard, it is my opponent's territory. As I attack more squares in my opponent's territory, my piece has more value. To determine the value of a chess piece, you count the maximum number of squares the piece can attack. Right now, this pawn is attacking 2 squares. So we take the maximum number of squares and we divide it by 2. 2 divided by 2 equal 1. So the pawn can attack 2 squares. Maximum number of squares, 2 divided by 2 equals 1. So the pawn is worth 1 point. But now, if we compare to the a pawn, the h pawn and the a pawn, these pawns can attack maximum number of 1 square. So these pawns are worth less than the other pawns usually. Maximum number of square, 1 square divided by 2 equals 0.5. The a pawn and h pawn can attack a maximum of square of 1 square. The a pawn attack 1 square, 1 square, 1 divided by 2 equals 0.5. So these pawns are worth 0.5 pawn. This is a bit more advanced. That's why when you don't really know what to do, you can just play a3 or h3. h3 is more common because sometimes the king is castled and we have an escape square. We can play h4, but h4 we risk to lose this pawn. Sometimes we play h4 to launch some attack because we just lost 0.5 point to get an attack. When you don't know what to do, you can play h3 or a3. Because even if you lose this pawn, it is only worth 0.5. We're going to see how the rook moves. The rook can move horizontally or vertically. For example, the rook can move here, 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 can move here, any square that I highlighted. We can move vertically here, here, 2 square, 1 square, a square. What is the value of a rook? A rook is worth 5 points. I'm going to say again this counting the squares method. The maximum number of squares a rook can attack is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The maximum number of squares the rook can attack in the opponent's territory is 10 squares. So 10 divided by 2 equals 5. The rook is valued 5 points. Now we are going to see the bishop. The bishop can move diagonally. There's a black square bishop can move on the white square. There's also a dark square bishop. It can move over dark squares. The bishop can move on any diagonal squares. here, one square. Bishop normally cannot change color. Now I'm doing example with different bishop. High square bishop, dark square bishop. Can move diagonally. Here. We are going to see the maximum number of squares the bishop can control. Can attack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 squares. The maximum number of squares bishop can attack is 7. Can be placed on e4, d4 also, 7 squares. F4, actually 4, and it's 6 squares. C4, 6 squares. So D4 and E4, or where the bishop can control a maximum number of squares. E5, the bishop can control 6 squares. D5 also 6 squares. So the value of a bishop is 7, the maximum number of squares a bishop can attack in my opponent's camp, divided by 2, which is 3.5 points. Now we're going to see the queen. So the queen is the fusion of a rook and a bishop. It can move vertically and horizontally, but it also can move diagonally. It is a fusion of a rook and bishop. The queen is the most powerful chess piece. Can move anywhere here, diagonally, here, one square, lot of squares. So what is the value of a queen? Actually, the value of a queen is 9 points, because the queen is a fusion of a rook and bishop, with 5 plus 3.5 equals 8.5, but the queen is only one piece or two pieces. And also in certain occasions we can have a perpetual check. Also, if you use the counting the squares method, you will see that the maximum number of squares that a queen can attack is 17 squares. 17 divided by 2 equals 8.5 points. But the queen is the exception to the rule of counting the squares, because it's only one piece or two very strong pieces, the rook and bishop, and the queen can also give perpetual check in completely lost position. For example, in this position, black has 4 queens. These are extreme cases. 2 knights and 3 pawns. White only has a queen, but it is a draw. Black is at 36 point of materials, but white can give perpetual check. A check is an attack on the king. Attack the king, I go back, the king goes back, and it is just a draw. The engine confirms 0.0, just a draw. So that's why the queen is worth 9 points. Now we're going to see the king. The king is the most important chess piece. It is not the most powerful chess piece, but it is the most important chess piece. The king can move horizontally or vertically or diagonally, but only one square. It moves like the queen, but only one square at a time. Here it can move on d6, goes back, can move here, up, can move here, can move diagonally, can move down, to the left, up, right, down. The king can move to all these squares. Now most people will tell you the king has no chess value. It is the most important chess piece, so its value is infinite. But actually, if we use the method counting the squares, of course, the king can only be used in the endgame. Chess is separated into 3 phases: the opening, the middle game, and the endgame. The king actually is only used in the endgame. In the opening and the middle game, we hide the king. We don't use the king, because if we lose the king, we lose the game. So right now, if we use the counting the squares method, the king is into black's territory. Of course, I'm talking about an endgame. Now we can see the value of a king in the endgame. The king can attack a maximum of 8 squares, all highlighted in circles. So 8 squares, the maximum number of squares a king can attack, divided by 2 equal 4 points. So the king actually is 4 points in the endgame. It is worth more than the knight and bishop, but it is still less than the rook and the queen. So you need to use your king in the endgame. Now we're going to see the knight, the most complicated chess piece in chess. The knight moves in an L shape. It goes from a light square to a dark square. First you go 2 square up, then 1 square right. When you do the same, you go 2 squares up, then 1 square to the left. Then go 1 square up, then 2 squares to the left. Again 1 square up, 2 square to the right. It moves from a light square to a dark square. 2 square to the right, then 1 square down. 2 squares down, then 1 to the right. 2 squares down, 1 to the left. Again 1 square down, 2 squares to the left. So you can go directly from a light square to a dark square. The knight is the only piece that jumps, because the horse can jump very high. Now we're going to see how chess pieces capture. The pawn is the only one that captures differently when it moves. Case white's turn to move, we can capture the pawn on the right and the f5 square, capture it. If there's a knight on e6, we capture it. The pawn moves diagonally. We can capture it diagonally. The same thing, we can capture the rook here. And also, if the pawn goes to the last rank, it can promote. It can become any other 4 pieces like the queen, rook, bishop, and knight. It cannot, of course, become the king, because the king is the most important piece. The pawn then becomes a queen if it promotes, or the pawn can become a rook. The pawn also can become a bishop. The pawn can also become a knight. But 99% of the time it becomes the queen, because the queen is the most powerful chess piece. Very rarely, like less than 1%, it can become a knight for some folk ideas or checkmate, or becomes a rook and bishop just to avoid stalemate. So we're going to see how the rook capture. It captures as it moves. The rook can capture horizontally or vertically. For example, the rook can capture the queen here. Then it can move up and then can capture the knight, can capture bishop, he can capture the pawn, so it captures as it moves. You can also say it takes or it eats the piece, like you prefer. Now the bishop captures diagonally, take, and take, and here the bishop can eat all the pieces but all diagonally. Now we're going to see the queen. The queen can capture pieces that are very far away. Can capture the black queen here, then can capture the black knight. Of course, here I'm just showing you like it's Western every time, but actually blacks can do some moves. Can capture the knight just for illustration purposes. Here if there's a rook here, you can capture it. A knight here captures. So that's how the queen captures the pieces. The king can capture anything. So here the white king can capture the bishop, can capture the knight, and can capture the rook. All diagonal. If there's a bishop here, the king can capture also. A rook here will capture, a queen here will capture. Anything that is one square next to the king. Now the most complicated piece, the most tricky piece, the knight. It captures in an L shape. Here we can take the rook. With time you will be more familiar with the knight movement. At first it is very difficult, but then you are used to. Can capture the pawn, can capture the queen. So that's how all the pieces capture. So now we're going to see check, stalemate, and checkmate. So a check is simply an attack on the king. So here white has a king on g1, black has a king on g8, white has a queen on e4. We can attack the king with queen to g6, or attack the king, but then the king can just move on h8. This is called a check when we attack the king once. A check can be blocked in three ways. Here, if I play bishop b5, for example, in this position, black can block the check with a piece or a pawn. Or the other way is to capture the piece. Here I can capture the bishop with a pawn. Third way is to just move the king. Here I can move also the king up. Here of course taking the bishop is the best move. So for example in this position we're going to say double check. If I move my bishop on h5, can attack the king twice with my rook and my bishop. So bishop h5 is an attack on the king, and the rook also attacks. So it is a double check, but it is also a checkmate. The king has nowhere to go. We cannot block both the attacks of the rook and the bishop. We can block the attack of the rook, but then the bishop just continues to attack the king. And here we're seeing also a checkmate. A checkmate is when the king has nowhere to go to. We can win the king and we win the game. So the aim of a chess game is to win the king. Now we are going to see stalemate. Stalemate is a draw. A stalemate is when your opponent stands to move, but it has no move. So it is a draw. It is when your opponent has a move, but your opponent has no moves. So it is a draw. In the position of a board, for example, white is completely winning. He has a king and a queen. The queen is worth 9 points, so we're completely winning. But white can blunder. White can play queen f7 and through the g8, the g7 and the f squares, and black has no moves, so it is stalemate. Black has no moves and the game ends in a draw. So white, instead of playing queen f7, must play queen g7 or queen h7, which is checkmate. The king is protecting the queen, and the black king has nowhere to go to. And we win the king and the game. In chess, there are 3 possible results: a win, a draw, and a loss. There are 3 ways to make a draw. The first one is by agreement. Both players agree to a draw. It's a draw, opponent accepts, it is a draw. The second way is insufficient of material. In the position of the board, both white and black have only one king, so it is a draw. The kings cannot attack each other, it is a draw. Also, king and knight versus a king, it is also a draw. Or king and bishop versus king, it is also a draw. Then the other way to make a draw is the 50 move rule. For example, white has a rook and black has a knight. Only white can win in this position. It is a theoretical draw, but only white can push over win, because even if black wins the rook, king and knight versus king is a draw. If after 50 move white did not win, it is declared a draw, so that the game does not continue forever. The 50 move rule is when you have not moved a pawn or made any capture, so there is no progress in the game, and the game will be declared a draw, because after a pawn move or a capture, there is progress in a chess game. So that's how a chess game can end in a draw. Congratulations, now you know how to play chess. The next step is to play online. I recommend playing 15 plus 10, which is a good compromise between fast and slow. Ballet is 1 minute plus 0 seconds, 2 plus 1, when there is a plus 1, so after each turn you get 1 second, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 plus 3, rapid 10 minutes, 10 plus 5, but I recommend 15 plus 10, not too fast but also not too slow. Classical is 30 minutes, 30 plus 20, I recommend playing 15 plus 10. If it is too slow, you can pause the time, or if it is too fast, you can play slower time controls. Then after you play a chess game, for example, to analyze your game, I advise to analyze all your games, the games that you won and the games that you lose. You just play a game, for example. So to analyze your game, click on analysis, to request a computer analysis, and here the computer, it will tell you all your mistakes. After you analyze all your blunders and mistakes, you can also use the show threat button, which shows you what is the threat of your opponent. For example, after black plays e5, what is his threat? You click on the show threat button, it shows you black is threatening to win the bishop. It is attacking the bishop and threatens to win it. So I have to retreat the bishop. And that's how you analyze a chess game on chess. If you have any questions, ask in the comment section below. Basically that's it. Welcome to chess. Thanks for watching.